Coachella first weekend.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what the Biebs is going to do.
I could see Bieber bringing up Billie Eilish on stage. I'm
I
locking in
hope
that
he
prediction.
brings somebody.
I feel like he's got to bring out someone, no?
I'd love to count the amount of times Noah has said on this podcast, I mean, they got to bring out
No, no,
somebody.
But
Somebody.
Coachella headline, like, I mean, I guess he doesn't because he's the headliner, but I just feel like Coachella is the place where
normally-
that
A lot of
happens.
times
A lot
they
of times
do.
the headliner.
Beyonce brought out Destiny's Child, then Jay-Z.
Yeah, that was the first time Harry brought out Shania Twain, right?
Yes.
I think that's a fair bet that there will be somebody.
Billie Eilish or Ed Sheeran. One of those is going to come out one of these weekends. Watch.
They're both good ones. I just don't know. I could see them. I could see him doing Billy and they sing a Billy song.
They could do
Yeah.
the Bad Guy remix
Bad
with
Guy
Justin
remix.
Bieber.
Yeah.
The desert was said to carry its own quiet narrative, told not only through music, but through the choices people made about whether to be present or stay away. And in 2026, Coachella was described as becoming one of the most talked about gatherings in recent memory, largely because Justin Bieber was reportedly preparing for a long-awaited return to the stage, a moment that had already stirred intense reactions across fans, critics, and insiders who were all speculating about what his appearance might signal for his career. Yet while thousands were expected to gather at the Empire Polo Club to witness that return, attention had also shifted towards someone who would not be attending, as Selena Gomez was said to have declined an invitation despite being personally asked by Sabrina Carpenter, who was described as one of the festival's standout performers and a rising force in pop music. And according to a source close to Gomez, the invitation had been extended warmly and well in advance, with the intention of bringing together both longtime industry connections and newer voices. Yet it was reported that Selena chose not to accept, and that decision quickly sparked widespread speculation and conversation online, with many trying to understand the reasoning behind it, as the same source explained that her choice was not rooted in any lack of interest in the festival itself or in supporting Carpenter, but instead was tied to a deeply personal consideration, as she reportedly wanted to avoid any possibility of crossing paths with Justin Bieber. And while that explanation might have seemed simple on the surface, those familiar with their history suggested that it carried far more weight given the years they had spent in an on-and-off relationship that had played out publicly, shaping an entire era of pop culture where every appearance, breakup, reconciliation, and social media post had been analyzed and debated by fans across the world, and it was said that their connection had once been one of the most scrutinized romances of the 2010s, with headlines constantly revisiting their story and audiences often choosing sides, until eventually their lives took different directions, as Justin Bieber went on to marry Hailey Bieber, closing that chapter and stepping into a new phase, while Selena Gomez was described as focusing on her own growth, navigating health challenges, evolving creatively, and eventually finding stability in her relationship with Benny Blanco, which sources characterized as grounded, supportive, and notably different from the intensity of her past experiences. And it was emphasized that her decision regarding Coachella did not come from avoidance rooted in unresolved feelings, but rather from a place of clarity and intention, with the source reportedly stating that Selena was in a completely different space in her life, feeling secure and content, and uninterested in revisiting anything connected to her past, noting that the decision was about maintaining peace rather than engaging in any form of drama. And it was explained that such a distinction mattered especially in an environment like Coachella, where interactions were often unpredictable, with artists crossing paths backstage, celebrities mingling in shared spaces, and moments quickly becoming public through cameras and social media. And it was suggested that for someone with such a widely known history with Justin Bieber, even a brief encounter could be magnified into a major headline, making the possibility of attending less appealing, and the choice to stay away was described not as weakness, but as a sign of self-awareness, recognizing that not every situation needed to be stepped into, even if it meant missing out on a significant cultural event. And right here, viewers were briefly reminded to subscribe for more updates, as the story continued to unfold with more layers, especially considering Sabrina Carpenter's involvement, which added another dimension to the narrative, as she was said to have extended the invitation without any hidden motives, simply hoping to share the experience, and sources indicated that Selena appreciated the gesture and held no negative feelings, even expressing admiration for Carpenter's talent, making it clear that the decision was not influenced by tension between them, but rather by the context of the setting itself. And this detail was highlighted as important because public conversations often tended to frame such situations as rivalries or conflicts when in reality there was none. And it was further reported that Selena's approach to her life and career in recent years had become increasingly intentional, with her choosing projects carefully, limiting her public appearances, and prioritizing her mental and emotional well-being. And those close to her pointed out that her relationship with Benny Blanco had contributed significantly to this shift, describing him as a steady and supportive presence who brought a sense of calm and authenticity into her life. And it was said that their dynamic existed outside the usual pressures associated with high-profile celebrity relationships, focusing instead on creativity and genuine connection, with one source noting that Benny was considered her safe place, someone who was not tied to past narratives and who simply wanted her to be happy. And in this context, happiness was described as making choices that protected her peace, even if that meant staying away from Coachella. And as expected, the decision did not go unnoticed online, where reactions were mixed, with some fans praising her for setting boundaries and prioritizing her well-being, calling the move mature and empowering, while others questioned whether avoiding the festival indicated lingering emotions or unresolved tension. Though the narrative suggested that such interpretations might overlook the broader picture, as growth was not always about confronting the past directly, but sometimes about choosing not to engage with it at all. And it was said that for Selena Gomez, Coachella 2026 represented more than just a festival, as it carried associations with memories, media attention, and a history she had spent years moving beyond. And while attending might have been manageable or even uneventful, it was ultimately described as not worth the potential complications. And meanwhile, Justin Bieber's upcoming performance continued to generate excitement, being framed as both a comeback and a statement about his enduring influence in the industry, with fans eagerly anticipating what he might bring to the stage after a period of relative quiet. And at this point, viewers were again encouraged to subscribe for more breaking celebrity updates, as speculation also grew around whether his set might include subtle references to his past, including his relationship with Selena, though nothing had been confirmed, and it was widely expected that audiences would be watching closely for any hints or symbolic gestures, given their shared history. And this anticipation only reinforced why Selena's absence might have been the simplest way to avoid becoming part of a narrative that could quickly take shape, as even a brief interaction or a single captured moment could be circulated instantly and dissected endlessly online, turning into headlines within minutes. And it was noted that in an era where visibility often meant vulnerability to public interpretation, choosing not to be present could be the most effective way to maintain control over one's story, even if it lacked the spectacle associated with attending such a major event. And as Coachella approached, discussions around Selena Gomez's decision were expected to continue, with her absence becoming a topic in itself, adding another layer to an already complex festival narrative. And it was observed that sometimes the most impactful choices were the ones made quietly, without fanfare, simply reflecting a clear understanding of personal priorities. And before the story concluded, viewers were given one final quick reminder to subscribe for more stories like this, as the focus returned to the broader picture, where the desert would soon be filled with music, lights, and unforgettable performances, while Selena Gomez would be elsewhere, choosing a different environment, one described as calmer and more aligned with her current state of mind. And in that contrast, it was suggested that the real story was not about conflict or lingering romance, but about a decision rooted in clarity, where stepping away from the spotlight in a moment like this spoke louder than any appearance ever could.